One of the major issues that we're currently facing now is the imbalance of CO2 in the atmosphere, right? So carbon's not the enemy. Carbon is a pollutant, yes, but carbon is essential. So we need a certain amount of carbon in the atmosphere as well as oxygen. The issue relating to global warming is the imbalance of CO2 in the atmosphere. So we literally need to take the CO2 out of the atmosphere in order to combat all of the effects that it's having on the environment. So we can't do that through just transitioning to wind and solar, which are amazing technologies, and I'm a big proponent of. So the only solution is to take CO2 out of the atmosphere. Now, currently, the only solutions that do that don't create a profit. They're cost functions. We want to reverse the equation because we feel that the reason people are so hung up on this global warming piece, and the reason there's so much conflict around the need to recycle CO2 is because it requires people to outlay costs. So what we want to do is we want to take a pollution, we want to turn it into fuel. And by turning it into fuel, we turn it into profit, right? So we solve many issues at the same time. We take CO2 out of the atmosphere, it cleans up the environment. We turn it into a fuel source. So for every litre of fuel that we create, we're not using a litre of oil. We're not depleting natural resources. So we're having multiple effects. We're getting multiple uses out of the CO2. We're pumping less in the atmosphere, and we're also cleaning up industry at the same time. If you really looked at renewable options that are currently out there, and you really broke it down to how efficient are each of these processes, I don't really think you could find a process that's as efficient as ours. We create a synthetic fuel, so we take pollution, which is just floating around in the air, and we turn it into a physical fuel source. I don't know who else can do that. You know, ethanol industry use wheat and corn that can be used for food production. We don't need that. You know, wind farms require these mammoth structures that, you know, cost millions and millions and millions of dollars and to be plugged into the grid. We don't need that. People want to see technologies that come out and replace coal, technologies that come out and replace gasoline, all right? That will happen, but not right now. What we need to do right now is we need to work with renewable technologies and existing technologies and make both sustainable. So that's what we do. We work with coal and we work with waste to energy plants, and we make them more efficient and we make them more environmentally friendly. We've worked out the costs that we need to be able to make an impact. $100,000 is going to do the minimum viable demonstration scale plant, but that's not going to change the world. You know, it's a starting block, and it's going to help us gain credibility, and it's going to help us prove at a commercial scale that what we do is viable. And not just viable, it's attractive.